Hey everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome back to some more Kaldheim Limited on the channel. We're heading back into the Premier Drafts today with I was going to say the number, but I forget which one, probably like 12 or 13 or something, have drafted this set quite a bit. Either way, we've got a pretty nice bomb mythic rare here. Both the sword and the god itself are quite powerful. I think the sword is better in most decks, although there are quite a few good equipment in the set. Not as many good enchantments, so I'm going to first pick Halvar here. Not the most interesting first pick when you open just a really powerful mono-colored mythic rare. It's pretty easy to just grab it, although there are other very solid cards in this pack. I like Basalt Ravager a whole ton in literally every red deck I've ever played it in. You don't even need to be that tribal, but if you're in red-black, you'll have a lot of Berserkers with, you know, Dwarven Reinforcements make Berserkers. This mob is a Berserker. In blue-red, you're playing Giants with this Invasion of the Giants here, signifying that that is what that color does. Mistwalker is a great blue common, and Goldvein Pick is a great colorless equipment. I think those would be probably the next picks after that, although I did not get a good look at the entire pack there, just because of the time constraints. So there were a lot of good cards in that pack, although the Mythic Rare is just a big old, balmy, super scary card. So I don't actually think Ascendant Spirit is that good. You have to be incredibly heavily into snow to activate all of its abilities. I guess even just being able to use it once, it would be okay, but you need to be able to use this pretty early in the game. You don't want to have drawn a ton of your lands, and even if you have like 8 snow sources in your deck, it's probably going to take you quite a while to use most of these abilities, so I don't think this card's that good in Limited. Herald is pretty good, but it is a multicolored card that's completely off of Halvar. That being said, this pack's generally pretty weak. I like Rune of Mortality, Wither Crown, Herald, and maybe Ascendant Spirit. Maybe like the dual snow land for if we're doing something snow, we might as well just take a land at this point. Maybe Glittering Frost. I guess I'll take Rune of Mortality, because it's not that bad. All of the runes are pretty solid, especially if you can pick up the equipment to work with them, although this is one of the weaker ones, and it does combo with Halvar being an enchantment that we could either put on the Sword of the Realms, or we can use it to give something double strike with Halvar on the field. So it's just got some synergy there, and I think it's pretty comparable to the other cards in that pack, just nothing super exciting there. I do like Stalwart Valkyrie here. This is just a very impressive card in a lot of the white aggressive decks, and those are the best white decks in my opinion. If you trade creatures off in the early game, you get to cast this for only 2 mana. Granted, you're not doing that on turn 2 a lot, because the odds of you trading something off on turn 1 are so infinitesimally small, but it does allow you to cast this and another spell later in the game, which is not only good for using all of your mana and getting multiple threats on the board, but it's also good because white and black have a lot of cards that care about casting 2 spells in 1 turn. So I really like Stalwart Valkyrie, although Terragrid's Shadow could be good, and Crush the Weak is... I think Crush the Weak is just straight up pretty good. But I do like taking the white card because it is pretty powerful, maybe not as powerful as like Crush the Weak there, and we really want to play white for Halvar, so I think we're already pretty likely to be leaning into white, so we can put a little bit of bias towards the white cards for that reason. This pack is very off from what we're doing. I guess we can take Beskir Shieldmate to hold to white here, but it's definitely not the strongest card. Maybe Arnie Slays the Troll would be, although that is very off-color, red and green. You fight something, then you get some counters, and you gain some life. This card just does a lot of things for a pretty small amount of mana. There's also Provoke the Trolls, which is like decent red removal, but not great. It's not super efficient, and red just has more efficient removal at common with Demon Bolt. Bind the Monster is okay to have a couple. Marie to the Frost is pretty good. I think I'm actually just going to take Beskir Shieldmate. I'm never unhappy to have that card in my deck. I do like to have a lot of early drops in the aggressive white decks, and it's a pretty solid one there, allowing it to replace itself with a 1/1 whenever it dies. Really depends on the matchup how good that will be, but against other aggressive decks it tends to work quite well. Obviously, if your opponent plays a 1/3 on turn 2, you're having a really bad time, because it just does not attack into a 1/3 well. Out of this pack, I still like Shieldmate. Maybe Infernal Pet for black-white double spelling. Could take just an aggressive red card like Berserker, but that's also a pretty mediocre pick. Not the greatest pack. The strongest cards I think are Marit of the Frost And I mean, that's pretty much it. Everything else in here is just solid filler kind of stuff. I guess I'll just take another white card here with the Beskir Shieldmate. And wow, pick 6 Goldvein pick, I think I'm fine with. The pick is a pretty good equipment. It does not look all that impressive, and it was very, very underdrafted when it first came out. I am one of the reasons I never drafted it when it first came out, so I certainly was underdrafting it as well. Yes, I don't want to say that it's super obviously good, because I don't think anybody knew early on, except Deathsea. And now the whole world knows. Just giving +1/+1 is pretty relevant in this format when all the creatures are generally pretty small, so getting the +1/+1 buff to be able to fight up, trade up into the bigger creatures is really nice, and the treasure tokens also allowing you to dump out your hand even faster, get really aggressive in that way. It's just a super solid equipment overall. So am I at the point where I'm cool taking an Infernal Pet and just solidifying myself into black-white? I honestly don't think that's really necessary here. I don't actually think Infernal Pet's that good, but it's solid. And I do really like Battlefield Raptor with cards like Goldvein Pick, because you want some 1-mana creatures to be able to equip really easily and to allow you to double spell, and this is in white. I think I'm going to take this here. I'm not really a fan of Iron Verdict in an aggressive deck, because obviously this removal's at its best when you're destroying something that just attacked you. That's basically all it does. So if you're on the offensive, it just doesn't do much. Now this pack is pretty weak. We could take a Warhorn Blast for being really aggressive. God's Hall Guardian. I thought I was saying it right, but it's just kind of a weird name. It's just a really big for the cost. If you can foretell this thing, 4 mana for a 3/6 Vigilance. Elderfang Disciple for black, but that card doesn't excite me too much. I guess I'll just take a God's Hall Guardian. I think I should be able to pick up some Warhorn Blasts if I really want them. They tend to go incredibly late, in my opinion. I think my favorite card here to go with our white stuff, because now we've got a Goldvein Pick, and we are trying to get in on equipment with Sword of the Realms and Goldvein Pick here, would be Dwarven Reinforcements. This card is really good with equipment, because obviously the 2/1s are not very impressive, but getting multiple creatures out that you can then start equipping and sending in one at a time is pretty good. So I like Dwarven Reinforcements more than the mob here, and the green card's not great, blue card's not great, and the white cards don't do much, so we're just going to take Dwarven Reinforcements there. Here we can take the pretty mediocre removal in black, the Wither Crown, although we could take like a Kennel Master for the top end. Drugger Recruiter has always been way too slow for me. I've just never gotten this card to work out well, so I'm not a fan of that. So I like Kennel Master, I like Wither Crown, but Kennel Master, again, probably more replaceable than Wither Crown. Could take Raven Wings to go with the equipment theme. This can give us flying in a board stall to fly over our opponent's blockers, or we can take another God's Hall Guardian. I'm going to take a Raven Wings here. Might be solid. Seize the Spoils can help you splash things, but other than that, I don't generally like this card, unless I'm getting more value out of the treasure token than just 1 mana. So I think I'll just take Village Rites, Warhorn Blast, or the Mob. I do like the Mob, but it is also a card that goes really late and is pretty replaceable. Warhorn Blast does go really late a lot, but it's not a very replaceable effect. Like, if you want a Warhorn Blast in your deck, you kind of have to get Warhorn Blast. There's not much else that does exactly that. Whereas the Mob is just like, if you want a big old 5/4 in your deck on turn 5, you can have that in pretty much any color. So, probably taking Doomscar. Obviously not at its best in an aggressive deck, but even in aggressive decks, board wipes are always good and limited, because you know when you have it in your hand, so you can play around it and not overextend to the board, whereas your opponent can never really know, because they're always like rare and mythic. So I think I'm taking Doomscar here, although Kaya's Onslaught is a very powerful finisher in an aggressive deck, so it makes more sense here. I think Doomscar's just so powerful that I'm leaning towards it, even if it makes a little less sense in this deck. And we are definitely in white, so I think it's down to the white cards, although there are other powerful cards here. There's like Sir Rolf's Packmate in green, Shimmerdrift Veil, really good mana fixing, also provides snow mana. That's kind of it that I'm really excited about in this pack. I'm going to take Doomscar here. Now we have a Bound in Gold, which is a premier white removal spell. I'm really happy to pick that up. Just way better than the deal 5 to a tapped creature, especially in this deck. 3 mana, enchant any permanent, shut off all of its attacking, blocking, crewing, and its activated abilities, so it's even works against planeswalkers and things with activated abilities that go over and over again, like some artifacts that spit out a creature every turn and things like that. So I like Bound in Gold here. There's also Scorn Effigy that can help you double spell, but these go pretty late and they're not that good. Jarl of the Forsaken for black would probably be the card I'm most excited for here out of anything. It's really good with first strikers like Battlefield Raptor, and even without, it allows your smaller creatures to trade up into big things in the late game, like your shield mates. All of a sudden you can still attack when your opponent plays their 5 mana 5/5 because you just attack in and then kill it with a Jarl. So I do think Jarl is probably the best other card we would play in here, although there's good green stuff. I mean, the Packmate and the green rare both look like solid cards. Well, I don't think I can really go wrong taking another Bound in Gold, although we could get a second Dwarven Reinforcements and really try to jump in on red-white tokens with a bunch of equipment. Some good snow stuff here, Narfi, but we're pretty far from that, and it's not a strategy I'm comfortable drafting or I enjoy drafting that much, although I have heard that LSV has been doing a lot of snow drafts and has done a few snow drafts on Channel Fireball on YouTube, so if you want to see how to draft the snow decks very well, I would definitely recommend checking out LSV's drafts of this format, and I will have to do that at some point so I can maybe draft a decent snow deck at some point, but you all know me, I'm in love with the aggro. So we have Infernal Pets, Snow-Covered Plains. I don't think I have anything that cares about the snow mana, although that is an on-color snowland. So what do I actually have that isn't in white right now? I have 1 Dwarven Reinforcement, so we're very much not connected to red, but even our black is quite mediocre. Rune of Mortality is probably our best black card, and then we have like Wither Crown. I'm kind of thinking we take Bergstrider here. Bergstrider is just a really, really good common. I guess it's the only blue card in this pack, though, so maybe the quantity of blue means that blue isn't that open, whereas there's Infernal Pet and Jarl in black for staying in black. I'm not so sure about this, but I'm going to take Jarl there. There's definitely an argument for taking Bergstrider. Ooh, wow, we get a great Hall of Starnheim here, though, so pretty rewarded for just sticking to black here, because this is probably the best of the sacrifice lands. In white and black, you get 2 white and a black, tap, sacrifice this, sacrifice a creature, create a 4/4 Flying Vigilance Angel Warrior token. Just really, really good, and really cheap to do. You can do this on turn 4. Obviously, you have to tap this land and 3 others, so it's technically kind of a 4 mana ability, not a 3 mana ability like it looks like, but it's still really efficient and really good. It turns your little 1/1 human warriors that the shield mates leave behind into a really big threat. And it's also a land, so it doesn't even cost you a slot in your deck. Wow, when we get a Bound in Gold pick 6, I'm happy about that. I guess pick 6 isn't that insanely late, although I do think it's the best card in this pack by a mile. I'm happy to take Bound in Gold here. I'm going to actually sort my curve by my creatures now. Just set all this other stuff to the side, because now I need to focus on really kind of focusing the deck, focusing the curve and all that. So right now we got a ton of 4 mana stuff. We have 2 2-mana creatures and 2 1-mana creatures, although this pack is not going to help with that. I guess we get our first 3-mana creature with the Starnheim Courser. It's a flyer, it's good with the equipment, although I do like the Braggart a lot, but I've got a lot going on at 4. I guess Valkyrie's more of a 2-drop a lot of the time. Happy to pick up another Valkyrie here. Pretty easy pack there. And we wield the Kaya's Onslaught, so objectively Doomscar was the right white card to take out of that pack, because we just get Kaya's Onslaught back, although there's an argument for Codespell Cleric here. We do not have a lot of creatures, just 10 right now. We've got another pack to pick up more solid playables and figure this curve out. I think we're okay to take the finisher. We wield a Jarl here, although I probably need to just take Deathnell Berserker, because I need to get more things I can just dump out on turn 2. I don't actually have that many equipment. I have Goldvein Pick, Raven Wings, and Sword of the Realm. So I've got 3 equipment. I think I actually do still want Berserker, though. Being able to just play creatures on turn 1, turn 2, so you actually have things to equip as soon as possible is really good, especially for Goldvein Pick. Take another Warhorn Blast. I don't know how much we want a second. Still not 100% convinced we're playing the first. I like Infernal Pet here over Duskwielder. White has some really good 1-mana creatures that I like more than Duskwielder. I like Battlefield Raptor more than it, and I like Codespell Cleric a little more than it, I think. So we're hoping to get other cards to fill out the 1-mana creatures. Especially in terms of uncommons as well. Like, if we're not even thinking about just commons, White has a really good uncommon 1-mana creature, the 2/1 that can spit out creature tokens whenever it boasts for 2 mana. Well, pretty sure we're taking the white-black-gold card here. The Judge of Valor. It's just a really powerful late-game effect, allowing you to draw the best card out of your top 3 every time you cast 2 spells in 1 turn. It is hard to do that late in the game, but you can really play around it with Foretell cards, of which we have quite a few. We've got Scorn Effigy, we've got some Blasts, and like a Jarl, Godsoul Guardian. You can really just like set up to know that you're at least double spelling the first time you do it, and then from that point on, it gets really easy to chain 2 spells in 1 turn when you're drawing a card out of the top 3 every turn, because then you're essentially drawing 2 cards a turn, one of which you've selected. So her ability really helps activate itself, which is good. Oh my god. Oh no. You can't give me a really difficult decision like this. We have Redain, God of the Worthy, which is a really bomby card. I mean, 3 mana for a 2/3 flying Vigilance isn't that insane, although it is quite good. But the Valkmir Protector Shield is so hard to beat, because all of a sudden your field just gets drastically worse if you're playing against Valkmir Protector Shield. You prevent 1 damage from all creatures, well, all sources, that would be dealt to you or your creatures, so you just nerf everything they have, and all of their removal spells. Anything that targets stuff costs 1 more to pay. This card is so good, but there's no way that Clarion Spirit wheels, and this is really good aggressively. I'm gonna take the rare here, but I would have loved to have a Clarion Spirit in this deck. This might be the wrong choice. Maybe we're aggressive enough that we just go for a Clarion Spirit there, but I think that this card's just pretty insane. It has a really good front half, and the back half is just absurd. So either way, you have to cast it. It's a solid card. Take Giant Ox just for crewing things, but I don't think I'm playing a lot of vehicles here. Koma's Faithful, 3 mana 3/1. With 16 creatures now. Raise the Draugr wouldn't be that bad in this deck. Got like some angels here. I guess it wouldn't be great. Tergrid's Shadow might be okay. I honestly don't know here. I guess we'll roll with Tergrid's Shadow. I'll trust in the auto selector for that one there. Another Infernal Pet, a Jarl of the Forsaken, a Starnheim Courser, a Story Seeker, or a Valkyrie Sword. Valkyrie Sword is really expensive, but it is a 7 mana 6/5 flying Vigilance, which is a really big late game threat. Might be too expensive for what I'm trying to do here. Maybe we just want the 2/2 lifelinker. But I'd be cool with another Jarl. Another pick I'm not so sure about. A lot of good options. I like the Seeker, the Courser, the Jarl, the Sword, and the Pet, as I have said before. I'm just going to take the Story Seeker. Get another little cheap creature in here. I think Goldmaw Champion's fine here, but... Ooh, this Dwarven Hammer. This Dwarven Hammer's looking at me. I don't want to splash in a Dwarven Hammer, but Dwarven Hammer is really good. So maybe I kind of do. If I had more Goldvein picks, I'd like go for it, but I just don't have the fixing. I guess we're really not that excited about Goldmaw Champion, so if we have to cut it, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I'll take a Dwarven Hammer here, but I'm not sure that's going to pay off. Oh my god. No respect for Dwarven Hammer. I guess the people around us just aren't in red, because this is one of the best red cards. It's just so good. Well, now I'm really doubling down and hoping for like a pick 7, pick 8 Goldvein pick. literally a pick 7 or pick 8. Well, rewarded pretty heavily there. I mean, I don't know what else I could have got there that would have been better. But getting that mana fixing is really important so I could actually play these hammers. And I am very excited about them now. With 2 gold vein picks to get treasure tokens. I doubt we're going to be able to pick up any of the dual lands because they're just so heavily drafted. I guess we're taking Infernal Pet here. We can take a Kaya's Onslaught or a Death Knell Berserker. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, essentially 5 2-mana creatures now. I can take another Onslaught. We're going to have a lot to do when we get to building this deck. Raise the Draugr or God's Hall Guardian. I got enough like big old creatures coming out now that I've got some hammers, so I'll just take a Raise the Draugr. Don't know how likely I am to run it. Forging the Tyrite Sword won't actually help us splash because we'd have to get our splash color to play this to get our treasure tokens, since red is the splash. You never want to be playing cards that help add a mana of any color in the color that you're trying to hit, like in your least played color. It just doesn't really work out. Coma's Faithful, Dread Rider. Yeah, I'm not really excited about Dread Rider. Lots of Runamucks everywhere. Man, a red-white aggressive deck would have been good here. Maybe we headed into the wrong color. Those Dwarven Hammers and those late Runamucks. Looking really nice there. Although I don't think we saw like any red removal overall. So how many red sources do you need for 2 Dwarven Hammers? That is the question. I have 2 with just gold vein picks alone. I don't believe I have anything else that will be adding treasure tokens, though. We did end up with 3 bound and gold, so I think I'm good to cut Wither Crown. Probably cutting Raise the Draugr and the Village Rites, Raven Wings. Even probably Shadow and the Warhorn Blasts. So we've got 8 more cards to cut right now. I don't know if I'm supposed to be splashing in red here, but I think I'm gonna do it. I just love Dwarven Hammer, probably more than I should. However, it could be a 2-mana equipment, so we could put it over here. The equipment is really, really powerful. +2/+0 and Vigilance means your creature can attack in and now trade up into bigger things, and every time you do that, the creature just goes back into your hand. So if you have the time to recast things and equip this, then you're just trading your cards for time, for tempo, instead of an actual card. So like your 2-mana 2/2, all of a sudden it kills their 3/3 when it blocks it, and then you just recast your 2/2 and equip it again. Pretty ridiculous. This I feel like more likely is going to be the 4-mana Protector's Shield. With 3 Infernal Pets and the Judge of Valor, I do like Scorn Effigy being able to foretell, so I can cast 2 spells in one turn really easily, casting this for 0. Like foretell this on turn 3 or 4 or something, and then just cast the Judge of Valor and immediately follow her up with a Scorn Effigy. I think I don't really like God's Hall Guardian here, it's just pretty expensive. 19 creatures still. I do still have plenty of creatures I'm feeling. Although Redain's kind of just the shield most of the time. It's kind of 18 creatures, but 2 Dwarven Hammers makes it 20. I think I can cut a couple of these still. Maybe cut some of the 1-mana things. Nah, double gold vein pick makes me want all 3 of these, even though Duskbilder's pretty mediocre. Maybe cut a pet. Faithful's good with equipment, though, with that lifelink. We're definitely not cutting Halvar, that's for sure. Really don't want to cut any more cards out of this thing, but there's no way I'm playing a 46 card deck. Cutting the hammers would make things easier on me in deciding what to cut, because I could just get them out of here. Now I'm at 44 cards. It's probably not a good reason to cut them, though. Good reason to cut them would be they're pretty inconsistent in terms of getting the mana for them, and they make the rest of my mana base less consistent. I've got Double white necessary to cast Doomscar, double black necessary to cast Firja, double white necessary to cast Halvar, but not the Sword of the Realms, at least on Halvar. So I do have some difficult mana symbols in just my white-black stuff, so muddying the mana base with non-white-black lands makes it even harder to cast things like those. More likely to get cut off of the right colors. So, I mean, that's obviously the downside, but the upside is that Dwarven Hammer is just an insane card. Turns every card you draw into an actual threat. Like, just drawing Dusk Wielder is now viable on turn 15. Now, instead of drawing a 1-2 against their board of, like, 4/4s, you draw a 4-2 trample. And there are also equipment that help the equipment theme. Six cuts to go. That's just so many cuts. Maybe Doomscar just because it doesn't really work with our game plan, but if our opponent just plays a deck that goes larger than us, if we're playing against like green-red and they have a bunch of big green 5/5 elf warriors and big red giants, and we just can't get through that, then we just get to Doomscar them. Like, there's matchups where it's good. I feel like this deck would be really good in best of 3 because we could like sideboard in and out of the less consistent deck with higher payoffs like Dwarven Hammers, or sideboard in and out of cards like Doomscar. For just best of 1 draft, which is what we are doing here. I'm just going to cut 6 cards, rip off the band-aid here, but when we get to the final cuts, this is where I'm never certain of what I'm supposed to do exactly. So as always, if anybody has any recommendations, what they think the right cuts would be at this point, it's always fun to discuss in the comments. I am trying to get better. I would like to get better and bring you all the best advice I can. Obviously, in situations like this, I don't really have great advice because I'm not sure either. So let's just cut the first 6 cards that come to mind. Basically cutting blindly, and I don't want to talk about it, okay? I don't want to talk about it because some people are probably going to have issues with this one. I don't want to think about it. All right, we're cutting those, and I got to cut 3 more. Oh, that's got to be the wrong cuts. Those are just like the biggest, bombiest cards in here, right? All right, well, I said I was going to cut the first things that come to mind, and that only got me 3 cuts. Cut a couple lands. We've got double gold vein pick here. Average 2.7 mana cost. Cut a couple lands, and we get there. Yeah. Sure. That's an average 2.7 mana cost, with Valkyrie only costing 2, Halvar potentially costing 2, this being able to foretell if we're stuck on lands. We could definitely cut 2 lands there, I think. We also have double gold vein pick for getting treasure tokens. If we have at least 2 lands and a creature, suit this up onto something. Start getting treasure tokens to make it to the bigger things. Alright, we're going to go to the 15 land white-black deck here. I'm going to be honest. I'm not happy. I think the deck looks really powerful. That's not why I'm not happy. I'm just not happy to cut double Dwarven Hammer. It's like my favorite card. So it feels awful. Maybe we could even throw just like Doomscar back in here over a land. I'm less unhappy to cut Doomscar just because I don't have any personal attachment to Doomscar, you know? Dwarven Hammer and I, we've been places, we've done things. We've 7-winned like every draft that I've Dwarven Hammered. Not every draft, but most of them. Card is just absurd. Alright, this is definitely keepable. Got a Story Seeker to throw a pick onto. Now we got an Infernal Pet later, which will be really easy to double spell at least once with a Score and Effigy to foretell. And with the pick giving us treasures to help us out. Finn the Fangbearer. Pretty scary start from our opponent. That's basically going to nullify some of our lifelink value if they go for the alternate win condition with that. So Finn is a 1/3 death touch. But the important part, the scary part, I mean, a 1/3 Death Touch is really good too, being able to trade up into any big creatures in the late game, but the scariest part is that this also just gives your opponent an alternate win condition. Even if you gain like infinite life, if they just hit you with a Finn 5 times, you die. That's just how it works. You get 2 poison counters every time it hits you, and when you hit 10 of them, you just immediately lose. So, Finn's a pretty scary card. Very solid. Luckily, there's not like a ton of Death Touch in the set. So usually Finn is like the only creature giving you the poisons. But who knows, sometimes they have the Black Rune to give something else Death Touch. Sometimes they have, I don't know, I don't even remember the other Death Touch cards in the set, but I'm sure sometimes they have some other stuff. So a 2/4 Death Touch is just not really something I can deal with here. I could play Coma's Faithful next turn and then make a 4/2 Lifelinker to trade. That seems like a solid plan. If that's our plan for next turn, we do need the pick on the board to be able to equip. So that means that this turn we have to just play a pick and equip it. And we're not going to block with a 3/3 against a 2/4 Death Touch. We'll die without even trading, so we'll send in for damage here and get the treasure token out of it. So we're hoping that a just 4/2 Lifelinker here can just trade off with Finn, because we need to get that out of the way. Even if we're somehow not worried about it killing us eventually, it's still going to be a really impressive blocker in the late game that we'd have to deal with some way or the other. We'd rather trade with like a Coma's Faithful than something better later. Ooh, Rune of Mortality that I can throw on a Goldvein pick. That's also a way to deal with Finn. Just block it with our own Death Toucher. Now I wouldn't have to use the Faithful here. I could double spell. I could just play Infernal Pet and play a Rune of Mortality on my pick. I kind of want to attack and get a treasure here. If I attack and get a treasure, I have 6 mana available this turn, which means I can play Faithful. I could play Faithful, I could equip it, and I'd have 2 more mana at my disposal. So I could even play Faithful, equip it, and Rune of Mortality to pick. That way, even if they kill Faithful, I have something to kill Finn with. Seems pretty solid. I think I'm going to attack here before I do anything else. We're just going to trade. Alright, then we just play Faithful and equip the pick. Don't give it Death Touch just yet. I mean, that's a super fine trade for us. Guess our opponent is just wanting to slow us down for now. With the lifelink, they weren't likely to be able to like get in with enough damage. Yeah, Struggle for Skemfire is going to really punish us for not being able to get the treasure token to immediately give Death Touch on the Rune of Mortality. Alright, we need Bound on Gold or we just lose. That's kind of how Planeswalkers work. Gotta kill them immediately or you lose the game, because they're going to give our opponent value every single turn at the cost of not even a card. We're in a pretty bad spot here. I think our best chance to fend off Tyvar would be to try to kill it with something with flying, so maybe we need to get Infernal Pet on this board, but I only have 5 mana available. So I could play Pet and a Shieldmate, and then I'm just not dealing with Finn this turn. Yeah, then even if they plus Tyvar, I get to ascend over with flying without even equipping. Maybe I play the pet and throw the rune on the pick. I think I need to put my creatures out first, but we're definitely, whenever we're trying to equip the pick onto something, we're giving it Death Touch to try to kill Finn. I'm at 6 poison right now, so 2 more hits from Finn is going to kill me. It's getting really sketchy. We're definitely double spelling either way here. We're not foretelling Scorn Effigy, we're trying to get a counter on Pet for some value. I guess I don't get to double spell next turn if I don't hit a land. Which is actually a problem for killing Tyvar. Maybe that would be a reason to just foretell the score in effigy and just take that all. Just have a 2/2 pet out. Counter on Finn here. If we had any just targeted removal spells, we'd be in such a good position here because they've just stacked so much onto Finn.
Your courage is legendary.
Got 2 +1s. I could trade with the elf token. It's a death toucher, so I have to. I have to block at least one thing here. Wow, that is a sick combo. The mythic rare to combo with the uncommon to give the elf's death touch. That's pretty insane. That's pretty cool. Definitely can't just chump here. Alright. So I have to be able to block Finn here. And I would like to be able to kill Tybar. But we'll see. I can double spell. If I cast Rune of Mortality and score an effigy, and then I'm chump blocking Finn next turn, and then we'll try to equip my Death Touch rune onto something to block Finn. It seems like our plan. I could even throw the rune onto the 1/1. But then if they have a single removal spell, we're pretty screwed, because then our way out of beating Finn is gone. But it allows us to block profitably immediately if they don't. It's actually a pretty hard choice. We're gambling on if they have the removal or not. It's probably not worth the gamble. Like if they have one targeted removal spell here, I guess if they have one at instant speed, then they just kill Pet and Tyvar lives and we just lose. But sorcery speed removal. Oh boy. I have to pick something like now. Alright. I'm gonna lose to sorcery speed removal. If they've got it. I'm committed.
I have to win next time.
But now, Finn can't attack us until they can deal with this creature. I almost definitely should have just put it on the pick. Actually, in hindsight, because we don't actually kill Finn by doing this, we just hold Finn off for a bit. Now we're just trying to Kaya's Onslaught for lethal. Can Kaya's Onslaught them for 10 right now? 5 mana. If I had 1 more mana, this would be really good. Have to spend a full 3 to do a Kaya's Onslaught this turn. I think we just go for the double swing for lethal. Does Kaya's Onslaught only do attacking? No, it does any creature. We're going for a Kaya's Onslaught win. Let's get flying and hit for 10 here. Actually 12. They have to get through this whole board to get us with Finn here. So they need removal for the Valkyrie, or a creature that can block it, or I can Kaya's Onslaught it for lethal. Binding the Old Gods. They do kill one thing. They kill Infernal Pet, okay. Only have 1 card in hand. But that does play around this being a non-land card and me drawing another non-land card, which it probably is because I didn't play land that turn, so pretty good deduction from our opponent. I think we just take 3 still. They've got more than enough mana for anything already. Well, I mean, gotta just make them have it here, right? Got the mana to re-equip this afterwards, so we can throw that on there. It doesn't really matter. Sorry, Windows Defender has found something. All right. That was not a game that I thought I would be winning. And actually, in the long run, it might have worked out that I did throw the Death Touch onto the 1/1. Because that allowed me to keep more creatures around in the long run. If I had thrown the Death Touch onto the onto the pick, I would have had to chump block with something that turn, so I'd be stuck with just the 2-3 and then throw the pick onto the 2-3. But I suppose like I'm at enough life total that I could still survive several swings, even if they could try to go right around my 3-4 Death Toucher. But it did make them have to have like the multiple removal spells to break through at the end. So, still not certain. I don't like this hand, but it's not worth a mulligan, I don't think. I've got a 2-mana 2-1, 3-mana 2-3. It's kind of whatever. Definitely at the liberty of whatever we draw. Draw bound and gold. Well, that's a pretty good start. Playing against a green-black deck. Could definitely be elves when we see Death Knell Berserker turn 2. But could also just be green-black good stuff. The archetypes in this format are definitely not necessary to a deck being fine. Well, we get to trade off here and just get a 1-1. Rather trade off than spend a Kaya's Onslaught this early, just because it is quite powerful later. Could have cast Raptor and Foretold Effigy, but if they don't play a creature here, this gets in for more damage. Otherwise, I get in for 1 damage there, and the next turn I cast Effigy, but it doesn't have haste or anything. Might have been better to just get Raptor on this field. I don't know for sure. Alright, the God of Death. Well, that gets to die and then they draw a card? Sure, so they hold me off for 1 turn and then they draw a card. So they basically just cycled this. 3 mana Fog, draw a card. Seems fine. Do I just foretell both my cards here? Or do I attack into that with a Jarl? It's probably not worth trading off a 2-3 just to get 1 damage in here when the God of Death is going to die anyway. I guess it stops them from drawing a card off of it next turn. But... so basically... if I had a card that said, sacrifice a creature, sacrifice a Scorn Effigy to make my opponent not draw a card and do 1 damage to them, would I do it? No, that seems like a terrible trade. So we're just foretell some stuff, I think. Could play the Raptor now, though. Start attacking with it. Yeah. I also just like getting the first striker out with a Jarl Foretold. Elder Leaf Mentor. Alright, well, good thing we've got something going on in this guy, even if it isn't that powerful. Could bound and gold on the 3-2 so that I can start sending in with the effigy as well. At least I'm attacking with 2 creatures a turn. I still think even that is just not going to be good pressure, especially against a green deck. If they just drop down a 5-5, like, bound and gold on the 3-2 is just pretty embarrassing. I could even still just send in and trade with that. Is that even that bad? Not really, but in black they could have ways to get it back to their hand, especially because they're like elves. There are some cards that like bring all the elves back from their grave. Kind of don't want to play into anything like that, like a Raise the Draugr. But I suppose those cards are going to go off later anyway. I'm going to hold on to this in case they have the 2-mana 1/1 elf that makes me discard a card. If we need double white on the later turn, we can just play the second white that turn. 2 of the 3 creatures our opponent has played so far have been elves, and they are... do I want to try to get them with Jarl here? What could this be at instant speed? They could have the 1 green mana +1/+1 give hexproof, in which case they just eat my 1/1. Eating a 1/1's not really that bad for me. Yeah, sure. You can eat my 1/1. And I can even wait till their end step when they're tapped out anyway. Well, they still got that 1 green mana up, so that didn't quite pan out. Alright, they've got the hexproof mana up. Oh, they don't have it. Okay. I guess they were just offering the trade with the score and effigy. It was just an honest offering of a trade. We've got double bound in gold now, so I think at this point we can just throw that on a Vargoth and start sending in. Got a backup for a scarier creature, and Vargoth is pretty scary. 2/3 Death Touch, and whenever it boasts, they can grab the best card out of their deck and throw it on top. Should I have onslaughted there? Probably not. That just gets in for 4 more damage, so not quite yet. Generally don't want to onslaught until, like, you're at lethal. Now we can bind and gold that. I think I like doing that to stay more aggressive. That gets in for a ton of damage here. Still not quite lethal, but very close very soon. If they block nothing, we hit for 8, 9, 10, 11, so that's not quite lethal yet. Alright, they blocked our 3-power creature anyway. Really got them on the back foot here, but in a green-black deck, they could definitely have more large creatures, especially in green. If they play the 6-mana 6/6 that gains 4 life when it comes into play, that'll be a real bad time for us. The Ravenous Lindworm. Pretty solid card. Really overperforms in the set compared to its previous performance. Binding the Old Gods. They're just going to kill one of my cards, which means I get to get in for 2. Or with 2 of these at least. Ooh, not if they destroy the bound and gold. True, destroy any non-land permanent. Okay, I guess I'm just hitting with Raptor now. That's a little sad. I could trade either of these and Kaya's Onslaught to kill the 5/5. That doesn't seem worth it, though, now that they're down to 10. Getting pretty close to an Onslaught being lethal. If I attack with everybody, they block there, take 1, 2, 3. Take 6 if I Onslaught on the effigy. Although I could also just attack with everybody, hit them for at least 3, and trade off with Outrider. That seems really bad. They have 4 more cards in their hand. I don't think we can pressure them that hard with that many like backup cards to just drop out as other blockers. Probably not worth the 2 for 1ing ourselves to kill Outrider. Although our creatures really aren't doing anything if they're not attacking. Draugr's Helm. With the token as well, so they've got a 4/4. Alright, well, slowly but surely, we're shooting for the skies. Pretty literally. Creatures gain Death Touch, that's kind of whatever, unless they cast like Finn or something. Sure. That'll get in there. I would double block it if it didn't have Death Touch, because they could only kill 1 on board. I guess I could double block it and try to first strike it with Jarl, with Kaya's Onslaught. But I think we're still focusing on this, trying to kill our opponent, because if we just clear that off their board and use Kaya's Onslaught to do that, we're probably not winning this game anytime soon. I guess we aren't winning anytime soon either way, but then we're entirely on an 8-turn clock. Raptor has to hit them 8 times if we don't have Kaya's Onslaught. With Kaya's Onslaught, we might be able to push in with another creature. Do I want to cast Infernal Pet right now, or do I want to try to draw a second spell to go with it? I probably cast it right now, because if I draw a second spell, I could play that second spell and give that +1/+1 first strike in the same turn. So I can still double spell if I draw another spell after this. I would just have to cast Kaya's Onslaught that turn, which would probably just lethal them, so it's fine, because I'd be giving a 3/3 flyer double strike and +1/+1. So yeah, that'd be a 4/4 flying double strike. So that would absolutely lethal them if I draw a second spell, so we're definitely not holding it. Alright. If they don't have any instants, or they don't play any reach or flying creatures, then literally any spell off the top is lethal. We'll see what happens here, though. They've got a lot of cards. Binding the Old Gods. Well, there goes Infernal Pet, probably, but maybe Raptor. It would be a really bold choice to just kill Raptor here. Okay. And there goes Infernal Pet. They do have the removal. Sending in with that. I kind of like just doing the double block here. If they do some really funky tricks, then we do have access to Kaya's Onslaught. Although we do want to just leave it. I think they have enough creatures and they're down to 7 now that I don't think they're ever going to leave an opening for me to get in with one of these. Although if I draw another Bound in Gold, that would do it. I have 1 left in this deck. So Bound in Gold on one of these, I get to attack it with both of them. At least 1 gets through. I give it double strike, that's 6/7 exactly. I guess I'm going to take this here, because if they don't have another creature, this would make Bound in Gold lethal. Although they probably do with a Foretold card. Rune of Mortality. What would I want to give Death Touch here? I mean, Battlefield Raptor because First Strike Death Touch is sweet, but Raptor's just not staying back because I'm trying to kill my opponent. I'm down to 12 now though, so I do have to think about some self-preservation. I think I'm just throwing this on like Scorn Effigy. Because Jarl can already trade into the 3/3, and that would make it so Scorn Effigy can trade up into whatever else. Sure. They've got something at instant speed and 1 Foretold card, so it could be a Jarl of their own. Oh my god. Don't make me do this. I've drawn the Bound in Gold, which means unless they have something, I can lethal them by shutting off 1 blocker, attacking with everybody, and giving Scorn Effigy double strike, because they block my biggest creature, which would be Jarl. I can double strike with a 3/4, that would be 6 damage, and 1 damage from Battlefield Raptor, but they probably have an instant, and it's probably Jarl of the Forsaken. Jarl of the Forsaken would do it. There are some instances that probably wouldn't save them, but I feel like most would save them. And if I make this attack and fail it, they basically just lethal me next turn. They hit me for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if it's a Jarl. I guess I am shutting off Outrider again, so maybe I don't immediately die. Oh my god, I'm gonna go for it. This could just be the +1/+1 hexproof, and then we don't even need to think about it. It's just like, alright. It's like, alright, sure. That happens. It literally doesn't matter when we would Bound in Gold then, because they've got like infinite mana over there. So they can just hold that up every turn forever. I do get to still send him a Scorn Effigy if I want, but that just trades into Packmate. With Kaya's Onslaught, do I attack with everybody here and just not use Onslaught for lethal? If I attack with everybody, they probably block. No, I don't think I can attack here because they're going to make good blocks. They throw Outrider onto Jarl, and then I either Onslaught that, and then all of the creatures on the board are dead except their 4/4 menace and my 1/2, or I just let that happen. Yeah, they actually do have a good block here, even with the Kaya's Onslaught in my hand. They also have a really bad block that would be awesome for me, but I highly doubt that happens. If they like just trade the 3/2 with the 3/3 and then the Death Toucher up into the 6/6, but I don't know why on earth they would do that. They had a Jarl as well. Okay, there was no way whatsoever we were going to beat them that turn. They could very well try to lethal us here. Depending on if they have removal in hand. Either way, I'm probably having to do some chumps. Oh, good lord. They give their stuff indestructible, so I can't even use First Strike Death Touch with Scorn Effigy to kill something. This is mega bad. Well, they are leaving themselves dead to a Bound in Gold, which would be cool. Because I can survive this just losing 1 creature. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That being said, I've drawn all 3 of my Bound in Golds. There's 2 in the grave, 1 on Vergoth. I don't believe I have any other targeted removal. Unfortunately, I do not. So we can't play to that out. So we're not trying to just leave all our creatures on board. We just gotta make the best blocks we can. We have to chump block the Outrider with something. Rather not chump block with the Death Toucher, but then again, they're going to crack back for lethal next turn no matter what. Because I get to trade something off here, but then I take 5, go to 7, take 3 more there. I go to 4 life, and they still have a ton of creatures on board. There's no possible way they can't just attack me for lethal next turn. So I think we just hold on to our highest power creature, I guess. And then just maybe something works here. I guess if I draw a second Kaya's Onslaught, I can double Kaya's Onslaught Raptor. I have nothing that even like taps down a creature, so maybe I should just play it super defensive and play around like a pump spell here. Just do that. Alright, we're just all in on second Kaya's Onslaught. I'm somehow going to draw a targeted removal spell. Oh, or I could just draw nothing. Well, not an awesome way to end that game, but that was a pretty interesting one overall. Got really close. Could have shown him the Kaya's Onslaught to at least put him to 2. Alright, so we're at 1 win and 1 loss here. See how things can pan out for us in round 3. Doomscar might have been okay in that matchup. But like if we just top deck Doomscar at any point, that doesn't even save us, because they still had the card advantage the whole time. So they probably always had at least one like backup creature. So I mean that was the kind of game where they had a bunch of big beefy creatures out, and maybe Doomscar would be good, and even there it would not have been good for us. This makes me feel a little more okay about the Doomscar cut, although the Dwarven Hammers would have been pretty good. Just difficult to cast. We are going first here with 2 1-mana spells and Infernal Pet. Seems good. I'm going to start off with the Flyer. Maybe I should have just started out with Duskwielder, because Duskwielder just does not boast late game. It only boasts if you put it out turn 1 and your opponent doesn't play a blocker. So I probably should have just done that. I got Rune of Mortality. Do I want to play it now? I do want to just cycle it and draw a card, so I guess so. We are missing out on some value if we draw into equipment, but just a first strike Flying Death Touch is actually pretty good as well, so it's not like we're just drawing a card here. We've also just made Battlefield Raptor a really scary blocker. Yeah, them not playing a card this turn makes me really wish I just Duskwielder turn 1. That was probably bad. We do draw into Goldvein Pick, which is nice. Next turn we can play Pick and Duskwielder if they don't play a blocker. Augury Raven. They do play a blocker. With a pick on Pet, Pet would be a 4/4. Yeah, let's just double spell and just get in. They just can't block here. And they're down to 13 now. Could move this pick around, but I don't think that's necessary. I'll hold on to that treasure. Could allow us to double spell next turn, shutting off a blocker and giving something double strike. That could just win like immediately there. And our opponent's stuck on 3. They foretold the card and have 1 blue mana up. Unless that returns one of our cards to our hand, this is just lethal. Almost certain. Oh yeah, this is like mega lethal. Alright, there's the concession. So opponent just got stuck on lands like 1, maybe 2 turns there. I wasn't paying that much attention. I think 2 turns. And in an aggressive deck, that'll just It'll just be a quick way to grab a game if your opponent stumbles at all. That was really nice stuff from the Kaya's Onslaught. Lethal on like turn 5, turn 4, I think turn 5. Yeah, because we had 5 lands on the field and spent a treasure token. To have 6 mana. This hand's quite solid. We've got the 2-drop creature, we've got removal, we've got Infernal Pets to be a later threat. The rhyme was unintended, but I enjoyed it. Our opponent starts off with a mountain. Different ways red could go here. Usually pretty aggressive. Red-black, definitely pretty aggressive. We're happy to have Bestier Shieldmate in this matchup. Story Seeker as well is good just for the lifelink, but I'd rather play the Shieldmate out because I'm trying to trade with their cards, especially cards like Fearless Liberator. We just want to get that off the board as soon as possible. Opponent plays in Immersturm Skullcairn, so we need to pay attention to this and know when it's happening so that we can just discard a land whenever that happens. And an Elderfang Disciple, so our opponent is really aiming for our hand here. Ooh, Halvar. If I draw another equipment, then I'll probably want to play Halvar as the 4/4. But if I don't, I can just use this to start suiting up my creatures and really going for it. It does require 2 mana to play the Sword of the Realms and 2 mana to equip, so I think for now I'm just playing Infernal Pet. I can block their 1 with a 2/2, I can block their 2/1 with my 2/1. But if I just draw a land next turn, depending on what they play, I might actually play Sword of the Realms and throw it on my Shieldmate, so I get to attack him with a 4/1 Vigilance. If it dies, it goes back to my hand, and I make a 1/1 token. That 1/1 token could block and trade with Liberator, and I can just recast Shieldmate. We'd have a really good setup to win the game through card advantage that way. It all depends on what they play, though. If they play like a really good creature or a good blocker, I wouldn't want to do that. And obviously, that play would require drawing a land, so did not account for that. I did not draw the land here, so I think I kind of want to attack with Shieldmate because I'd like to trade with something to get a Stalwart Valkyrie down. And if I trade with something, I still have a 1/1 Warrior to block Fearless Liberator. I guess trading with Disciple isn't that good, but I'm still trading my Shieldmate for 2 of their cards, essentially, because they trade off for something on attacks, and then if they attack me, I trade for something on blocks. Yeah, I like playing Shieldmate here, or attacking with Shieldmate here. I can't double spell here, unfortunately. That would be cool. Could also Kaya's Onslaught here. That just doesn't seem that good, though. Do I want to play Valkyrie, or do I want to play Story Seeker? I think I want to play Valkyrie so I have attacks, but... Yeah, this doesn't leave me with great blocks, but I don't need to block the lifelink. I only need to block the 2/1. At least for now. Again, we don't really have great blocks here simply because we don't want to trade off with Infernal Pet. We can double spell whenever we draw our 4th land by casting a 2-drop Story Seeker and a 2-drop Sword of the Realms. Another Coma's Faithful, so my opponent's going to have a lot of life gain, that's for sure. Now I get to double spell, which is Duskwielder Story Seeker, and send in with all my flying. Seems solid. Do I like that better than dropping the Sword of the Realms down? I believe I do. Yeah. And I've got plenty of blockers. I guess the Skullcairn is going to be pretty nasty to us if they draw their 2nd red, because now our hand's pretty good. It's just all decent cards. We're probably discarding Kaya's Onslaught if they force it on us, though. Well, that looks like a 2nd mountain to me. That looks like a 2nd red mana, so it might be Skullcairn time. Or it's just like run amucks. Can run amok my... I can run amok any of my creatures, I'll be okay with it. What really blows me out here, is there anything that gives pluses to the whole field? I don't think so. I think they can only save one thing per card here with the combat tricks in this set. I guess we'll find out. They probably have something really good in this position if they're sending this attack in. Just one run amok? Yeah, just one run amok. Alright. Glad I blocked everything. Get almost all their stuff off the board. Sure, my stuff too, but I think my stuff was weaker. Oh no, and they milled an Immersturm Predator. Well, I'm so glad they did not draw into that. Great Hall of Starnheim's a good enough land, and I need to hit 4 mana for Halvar. I guess I don't if I just play the sword. Yeah, I think I'm going to play this land, and I'm still going to just discard Kaya's Onslaught. I guess I could discard Bound in Gold. If I want to discard Kaya's Onslaught, I have to actively choose to not foretell it this turn. Yeah, maybe the sword's actually better than Halvar right now. If I get a 4/4 on the ground, they could double block, but if I just start giving +2 and Vigilance to my flyer, that's really good. I don't know if it's better. But I definitely don't have any creatures that I want to sacrifice to the Great Hall right now. And I like having Bound in Gold as a backup. I feel like Kaya's Onslaught's just almost definitely the discard. Yeah, I'm going to play the Great Hall. I'm going to play the Great Hall. But there is still the question of whether or not I cast Sword here. I definitely don't foretell Kaya's Onslaught, because that's our plan to discard. Yeah, I think I do. Halvar is just not actually that good on this board unless we draw another equipment. I think I'm really trading my pet for their Faithful, so we send in with both here. I guess pet stops them from hitting me for 2. Yeah, with the lifelinker on the board, we're not going to be doing a significant amount of damage even if we attack in with both of these, so we're more concerned preserving our own life total, at least stopping 2 of the damage here for now. Once we start equipping this sword to things, we're just going to block all the time, just 24/7. Dwarven Hammer. I can bind that in gold to get them to not put it on anything else. Oh my god, Death Knell Berserker? To go with Sword of the Realms? Now I just don't care. Yeah. Now we're just going to go off. I mean, I do have to worry about the trample. I'm at 15 here, but Death Knell Berserker now just gets to trade off and spit out a zombie every time and keep going back to my hand every time I do it. It's just ridiculous. I guess to stop as much damage as possible, because I have Sword of the Realms out, I can lose some value here and trade my Infernal Pet down into that 2/1 Dwarf token. I mean, because now I'm spitting out zombies and getting my card back and replaying it and spitting out zombies. And Death Knell Berserker plus Sword of the Realms is an incredibly good blocker. Now they have Death Knell Berserker for their own Dwarven Hammer. I can, as I said before, I can Bound in Gold on their Dwarven Hammer to stop it from equipping to other things. But then it's already equipped to that first Berserker. Like, I feel like that would be really viable if I had 5 mana to do it with, but I just don't have 5 mana right now. I would like to draw into like another lifelinker. That would be pretty good. Just do the Berserker thing. We're not going to block with the Valkyrie again, so we'll send it in. But now even if they have removal, we just block with a 2/2 zombie instead. Everything has to attack them next turn, and we're getting drained life every time an attacking creature dies. Alright. I hate that. I'm at a low enough life total. That is really, really scary. I guess it's much less scary if they don't attack with Dwarven Hammer here, though. But I guess they just don't want to give me the zombies. I'll have 4 mana up after attacks. Whatever I keep the sword on is going to have Vigilance, so it's going to be untapped. Just attack with everybody here and use a Kaya's Onslaught to get him. But if I do that, I don't get to re-equip sword or recast Death Knell Berserker. I think I still just attack with everybody. The only thing that they can block and kill is just my zombie token. Everything else would be trades. I'm only losing 1 creature here potentially, and the creature replaces itself. I think we're fine. This card is actually not that terrifying. We will just send in and see what happens. Oh, they're just going to take it all. They just want to lower the amount of blockers I have. Could hit them for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Not lethal. They crack back for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Which is also not lethal, but they have the Skull Cairn for 3 more, so they can crack back for 14. Yeah, I think we're just playing Starnheim Courser. Maybe we even just play Bound in Gold on the Carter. I can Kaya's Onslaught for lethal without that much difficulty next turn. Right. Because they're at 11, so this would be 8 flying damage. If I double Onslaught, that's not really possible. I only have 3 mana. I guess we're only doing 8. They go down to 3 in the sky. But I'll also have 3 creatures, so if they're like attacking me with everything, I could probably do it. I'm going to Bound Gold on Carter to be pretty safe here. My apologies. Just Death Knell Berserker. Well, just they're attacking with everybody here. Alright, so what is this, like a run amok or something maybe? I guess I stopped them from getting another blocker this way. 8, 9, 10. Still not lethal though. Stop them from getting another blocker. I stopped just as much damage either way. Yeah, I stopped just as much damage either way, and blocking this gives them a 2/2. Yeah, I'm just gonna block like that. Eight, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's actually lethal if they don't have... Okay. Yeah, it's actually just lethal if they don't have another blocker, and I don't think they do. Maybe the 1 mana 1/2. That would be pretty bad for me. Let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, I'm gonna go for it. I mean, if this fails, I die, but... 1 black mana, instant speed? I'm pretty sure it doesn't fail. Alright. I was mildly worried that they had like a way down or something, but that is a sorcery speed removal spell to give -3/-3, so that also just wouldn't have done it. It's actually a pretty scary game with the kind of reach that they had, just other ways to deal me extra damage with Carter's ability and the Skull Cairn being just some threatening cards. Alright. We're on the play. We do get the turn 2 Gold Vein pick onto something, although it involves playing a Code Spell Cleric with no counters. That's kind of gross. Do I even just wait till turn 3? I don't think I can do that. Can I? Just play pick turn 2 and then Cleric turn... Or actually, no, we just don't even play pick turn 2. We play the pick and the Cleric turn 3. This hand's kind of gnarly in the bad way, but... Ugh. Alright, I'm just gonna do it. It hurts. It hurts on the inside to cast a Code Spell Cleric with no counter. Sam's got a really sick late game now, though. Judge of Valor. Get in here. Show me all of the cards. We're against a blue-black deck, we know that for sure. Elderfang Disciple, alright, sure. I guess I need double black for the Judge, but I also have the pick to get treasures. Is my black more, or is my deck more white or black? I don't even remember. It actually looks pretty even. I guess I have double white on like Halvar. I think it's a little more white, so I'm gonna discard the Swamp. Let's use treasure for the Judge. Yeah, we drew into a Plains, so punished. I could have discarded the Judge to be able to cast Stalwart Valkyrie that turn. That might have been okay. Probably not, though. I mean, this is by far, this is like our best late game play, so Probably want to hold on to that thing. It was an option, though. Mistwalker from our opponent, so now the Valkyrie's just not going to get in. Neither's the Codespell Cleric, unless I want to trade with their Disciple. I guess trading with their Disciple would make it so my Valkyrie only costs 2 mana. Makes it easier to double spell later. I don't think this Codespell Cleric can just ever attack into Mistwalker again, so we'll offer the trade right now. Yeah, because like any other turn I attack with this, they can just block with Mistwalker and pump it once. So I do actually like having a creature in my grave, because if they don't kill the Judge of Valor immediately, this makes it so any card that costs 3 or less mana off the top of my deck allows me to double spell and trigger this ability, because now Valkyrie only costs 2 mana. And the 1/1 Codespell Cleric is just not... Once they start playing creatures, it's just not doing anything, especially against a Mistwalker. I did draw a 3 mana spell, so I could double spell if I cast a Kaya's Onslaught here. It's kind of a nasty double spell, though. I'd be casting Kaya's Onslaught just to kill a Mistwalker, or just to do 6 to them. I guess that's not the end of the world. It's fine. It's probably worth doing just to draw whatever I want out of the top 3. They do block, so we do get to kill a Mistwalker with our Kaya's Onslaught at least. So it's not for, like, no value. Great Hall of Starnheim? Nah, my creatures are just not expendable right now, so do I just take Infernal Pet or the 3/1 Lifelinker? 3/1 Lifelinker turning into a 4/2 Lifelinker with Goldvein Pick, trading off with whatever they have. It's probably a little better than Infernal Pet, although I am trying to double spell already for the Judge. I'm actually going to take the Pet. We're going to get bold with it. I'm also partially just thinking that I'm not going to want to put the pick onto the 3/1 Lifelinker, because the Flyers are just always going to get in, so I'd rather probably put it there most of the time. I suppose it depends what blockers they play. They're kind of stuck on mana here, so we'll hold the Multiverse main phase 1 to try to draw into another land. If they just don't play any creatures here, then also the 3/1 would have been better. Might have been a bit wrong there. Get the higher power creature. Well, literally wouldn't matter, because Elderfang Disciple is the play from our opponent. Do we want to hold off to double spell? Not when they're at 17 and they're taking 6 here. Yeah, because this will be me doing 9 to them next turn. We don't want to hold off. We could hold off in case they have some kind of Wrath. If they have like Blood on the Snow that costs 6 mana, though. They could have -3/-3 to all creatures, but that won't kill the Judge of Valor. So at least I keep something there. But if they had -3/-3 to all creatures, we would lose 2 creatures instead of just 1. Looks like they just have nothing for the Flyers, and they're going to take 9 there, so they're going to scoop them up. Just stumbled on mana again a bit too much. Our hand wasn't even that aggressive, so that was just a lot of bad luck for our opponent there. All right. We are 4 wins in, which means we're getting decent prizes out of this. This is another one of the reasons I really have not been a huge fan of Sealed on Arena. I think the Sealed prize support on Arena is abysmal. I think they factor in the value of the packs that you're getting for playing and the packs that you're getting for winning way too much for people that just don't care about that. Like, if I'm just trying to go infinite off of the gems required for limited entry fees, it's near impossible in Sealed. In Sealed, you need like 6 wins to get your stuff back. It's really bad, and you don't even get more, you just get a bunch of packs. It's just very, very bad prize support gem-wise. Whereas going back to Premier Draft, I'm at like 4-3, which is okay, and I'm already, like, I basically get all my gems back. Or at least very close to it. I'm gonna keep this. It's a little risky. We can obviously stumble on mana, but all of these cards were at least foretelling, and then they are castable later. So if I just run out Story Seeker turn 2 and still don't have enough mana, then I get to just foretell a Scorn Effigy so I can cast that, or foretell a Jarl so I can spend the 2 on that later. No, this hand's actually pretty good. Opponent starts with a Snow-Covered Island. They are probably playing blue and probably playing some snow stuff. And they follow up with a Blight Step Pathway, so they're definitely blue-black, maybe even blue-black-red. They could have just rare drafted this, though, and they just played as a swamp, just to be fancy. Very likely blue-black-red for our opponent. Well, Halvar's a pretty good draw. I think I'm just casting Story Seeker here. We'll get our creature out that can immediately start attacking. Just start bashing at our opponent. Stuck on 2 mana. Perhaps. Kind of makes me want to just play Scorn Effigy now. Just play creatures. Although, putting out a Sword of the Realms is really good if they play anything to block with. But equipping that gets just as much damage as just casting Scorn Effigy does. It's a hit for 2 more a turn. This, equipping it would hit for 2 more a turn, and this will cost me more mana. Because it'll cost me 2 mana this turn, and it'll cost me 2 mana next turn, plus it'd be the only thing I play this turn. I might even just be playing Halvar as a 4/4 here, to be honest. I probably am. They playing a Jarl or something? Depart the Realm to just bounce that. Okay. Would I still rather play Halvar, or do I want to hold on for the equipment? The equipment is very good when your opponent is blocking. I think with this hand, we might just play Halvar, and we're trying to bind in gold and get a free win off of Kaya's Onslaught, because Kaya's Onslaught on Halvar hits them for 10 damage off of that one creature. So we're just going to try for the free win. Get as much power on this board as possible. If they play any blockers, rather than trying to trade with Sword of the Realms and recast our creatures, we're just going to bound and gold them. And apparently our opponent just got stuck on 2 mana that whole game. Well, these aren't the coolest wins or the most deserved wins in the world. But this is a part of Magic. It happens, and I'm happy to get my gems back out of this either way. We're 5-1 now. Doing quite well here. One of my roommates made some chicken nuggets or something and it smells delicious. And I'm now very hungry. Just moderately distracting me here. Alright, so we're heading into round 7. 5 wins and 1 loss. The deck has certainly performed thus far. Whatever happens now, I can be pretty happy with a 5-1 deck. 5-3 deck, I should say, if I lose all the games. Queues are getting pretty long. Unfortunately, there are always timestamps in the description of this video if you want to skip to any game. So if the queue's taking a while or whatever, just hop on to the next one in the description below. And this is the first time we've drawn Redain, so we'll see what she does here. Honestly, in this hand, I'm probably actually just playing her as a Flying Vigilance to throw a pick onto. But we'll see. This hand's definitely very solid. Opponent mulligans to 6. Do I want to play pick first here? Probably, because it's going to help me dump my hand out faster in the long run, I think. It does depend on what they play. If they don't play any blockers, then yeah. But if they do play blockers, I probably prefer to just play Redain, depending on if we draw lands here as well. Play the Shieldmate. Opponent starts with a Woodland Chasm, the green-black Snow Duel, followed up with Volatile Fjord, the blue-red Snow Duel. Well, I'm going to get a Shieldmate out here. Argument for playing pick so I could equip the pick next turn, start getting treasures. Priest of the Haunted Edge is very annoying for us from our opponent. Bound in Gold shuts off the abilities of it as well, though, so we can just get aggressive here. Next turn they can tap, sacrifice it, give something -3/-3. I guess that's not good against just the 2/1s right now. But if I'm playing something other than Bound in Gold, I'm just playing Redain, and then they just kill Redain. That seems pretty bad. I think I'm just going to shut off the removal spell with my removal spell so I can get in for 4 here, put him down to 14, and stay aggressive. Augury Raven. That I might just Gold Vein pick now. Because I don't need to get that out of the way if I'm attacking with a 3-2. And now I get to start getting the treasures to set up for actually casting some of my more expensive stuff. Unless they take the trade to slow me down, keep me off of the treasure, and clear one of my creatures out. Not a trade that you'd often take for value reasons, but the tempo is pretty important here, with our opponent playing a slower deck. Just trying to survive right now. They have 2 cards left in hand, but they do have Gates of Istval they can sacrifice to gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. So they are really going for the long game with a lot of value. I don't know if I want to Bound and Gold that Priest. I have 4 mana available, so I can Bind and Gold and like equip a pick, or I can just cast Valkmira, but Valkmira actually seems pretty bad in this matchup, just reducing all their stuff by 1. They're probably the kind of deck that's just going to overwhelm me with some kind of really big super multicolored bomb later, is their general game plan. I kind of still want to Bound and Gold on the Priest. I could also play a Gold Vein pick and just suit the Shield Mate up with 2 of them, and then they just sacrifice the Priest to kill that. You know, actually seems pretty solid too. Because now they can't just block it. If they block, it's a chump block. So they're going to take 4. I'm going to get 2 treasures. And then they'll probably have to sacrifice the Priest to kill that. I could even foretell the Effigy here, so I play another creature next turn. Although, I do like having potentially 6 mana up, so I could cast Bound and Gold and Redain. Foretelling the Effigy might be worth it. Foretelling the Effigy would just make sure I'm casting a 2-3 next turn, no matter what I do. But if I'm not going to want to cast Bound and Gold and Redain in the same turn, with 6 mana I can just cast her an Effigy anyway, and use those treasure tokens then, so I probably shouldn't foretell. Because with 6 mana I can do both of these or both of these, so foretelling doesn't actually lead me to either of those doing any better. But it does... Well, that was a pretty bad draw 4 off Showdown. They just drew 1 Pilfering Hawk. Anyways, the foretelling doesn't help me cast anything out of these cards better, but it would, if I drew like an expensive card, help me cast that as well. I think before I put anything else on this board, the Priest's abilities freeze, so... Actually, it's only a sorcery. They can't use the Priest right now. But they could just use it when they untap to kill one of my better creatures. If I play Redain, Redain's going to be a 5/5. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 4 Snowlands right now. Island and 3 tapped ones. This deals... It's -X equal to the Snowland. So if they draw 1 more Snowland, they could kill Redain if I suit her up with 2 picks. Seems a little too risky for me. I think I just attack with the Shield Mate. I'd have to give this +1/+1 somehow to send in with that as well. Still don't really want to Bound and Gold the Priest. Although, I mean, they're down to 10, so at this point that might be the ideal plan. They also have access to Skemfar Elderhall now. Also a sorcery speed effect. -2/-2 and get 2 1/1s. So got really good stuff coming up on the ground. Little 1/1 chump blockers and stuff. Chump block with the Pilfering Hawk. Okay. Now I think I play... Just play Duskwielder and score an Effigy. Just go a little wide here. If they're killing something with the Priest, they have to do it at sorcery speed, which leaves them with 1 less blocker for my 1 less attacker. All of these creatures are pretty expendable, so whatever they want to do it on is fine. Got 3 cards in hand. Got the land that can draw more. The Gates of Istval. They've got the Elderhall that can kill something and get some chump blockers. See what they're doing here. Whenever they cast a spell this turn, they give a creature +1/+1 counter, so they can make the Priest of the Elderhall, or the Priest of the Haunted Edge, like a really big blocker. Righteous Valkyrie, if they're casting more Angels or Clerics, I'm going to lose my mind. I guess they could cast a Changeling, though. they gain life equal to the toughness when they play one. Just a Glittering Frost to get a counter on the Valkyrie. And they are not sacrificing the Priest. Well, I think I have to shut off the Valkyrie now. And then I attack with everybody. They're at 10, so they have to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They actually don't have to block yet, but they should. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from the boast. Yeah, they don't have to block yet. Shieldmate already can't get past the priest, so we'll move one of these to the 1/1, my only creature that would die to the priest. Now I can attack him with everybody and no one dies. Hit with all that, and I get to boast, and I get the treasure token to cast Redain to go really wide. Although I do just die to a board wipe. So this, casting Redain or not, is entirely whether or not they have a board wipe. If they don't have a board wipe, they can't kill it with their land, they have to kill it with the priest, and then they just don't have enough blockers for stuff, so it's pretty good. 1 card in hand. They'd have to like top deck the board wipe too. Even if they do, they're left with good value lands to try to come back that way. I'm gonna get risky. I'm gonna do it. Oh, this does make the board wipe cost 2 more to cast, but they've got enough mana either way. Just don't have a board wipe. I think they have enough ways to kill my things that they could potentially stabilize. Which is why I want to still be putting more things out, because the Elder Hall just helps so much against the ground creatures. Like, they just use Elder Hall and the Priest, and they got some 1/1s, they block the 2 things, and then next turn they can do the gates. So now I'm pretty sure they gotta just Priest on Redain. No? Well, they 100% have removal in their hand. Otherwise, they just die to flying. Three mana? Show me what you got. I don't really have great attacks with the ground creatures, even if I left the equipment there, so I'm just gonna go for it. Okay. Alright. We're just hoping for the not attack that turn. That was getting scary there. Opponent was on the back foot the whole game because we were an aggressive deck, but those really multicolored snow decks with all of the great sacrifice lands can really overwhelm you with value if they can stabilize. So some scary stuff. I am incredibly glad that I cast the flying creature. So we are 6-1 heading into round 8. Could be the last round, could be the final boss. Could get a nice 7-1 run back into the drafts here. That would be pretty wonderful. We'll see. I don't think this is very keepable. I get to Rune of Mortality to just cycle it to try to draw a white source. Whatever. Our white cards are so powerful. We're gonna greed it up. Maybe I have been watching too much LSV lately. The greed. Give me that plains. Ooh, we got a plains. We got a plains. We're getting there. We have plays. Well, we're against a green-blue snow deck, though. Potentially green, blue, and white. I could shut off the Sculptor so they can't ramp up. The ability to untap a land is not a mana ability. It's only a mana ability if it just like taps and makes a land. Since it's technically untapping a permanent, it's not technically a mana ability, so we could shut that off. If I really want to slow them down, I think I want to just start playing some duders. Get a shield made out here. Shieldmate attacks into their 2/2 pretty well. They have hit their third land, so they've got 4 mana available. Oh, that's gonna be a yikes from me, dog. Yeah, we really need to pressure them, otherwise they're drawing 2 cards every turn, so unless we're like trying to mill them out somehow, which is just not gonna work out, we've got to really put the pressure on them to stop them from drawing 2 cards a turn. Bound and Gold does not stop this. This is a triggered ability, not an activated ability. Bound and Gold only stops activated abilities. I think we double spell with Code Spell Cleric, play a Faithful and throw a counter on it. Or something. Actually put a counter on Cleric itself, maybe. Could also just Valkyrie to have a flyer so we know we're getting in for 3 a turn, which shuts off a Elixir. Kind of like getting just the Cleric ability out of the way so I know that it's done its job. Don't have to worry about double spelling again. I don't love putting a counter on Faithful just because it still trades into 2/2s, which is the only size creature that matters right now. That's the only size creature they have currently. I guess it would be better against a Mistwalker if they play that as a 1/4 flying blocker, but if they play a Mistwalker, I'm probably going to cast Bound and Gold because it blocks very well, and they have a card that really wants them to be blocking all over the place. The Cosmos Elixir. A second white would be really good because then we could play our Sword of the Realms and equip it. I think we're definitely going to be doing that, playing the sword and equipping it. Probably not a Halvar game. Avalanche Color and Masked Vandal. Thankfully, they played the Masked Vandal before I cast my really good equipment, so that I might actually get to do it. I do have to hit them. I have to hit them to stop them from drawing an additional card this turn. I guess they're drawing an additional card this turn, because I think I'm just playing my equipment and equipping Coma's Faithful so that gets to attack it. It trades with something, goes back to my hand, and I gain 5. I guess I could put it on like the 1-drop so I could potentially recast it, but I don't have enough white mana to do that. I'd need a 3rd white mana, 1 to play, 1 to equip, and 1 to recast Code Spell Cleric. Do I even just put it on the Shieldmate so I get 1/1s out? Yeah, it actually might be better, so I can go pretty wide. Getting a 1/1 out of the trade is better than just getting some life, I think, and I'm not really worried about the self-mill. I guess, you know, Sword of the Realms on Coma's Faithful would be a way to try to just mill them out. They draw 2 cards a turn, and now I start milling them 3 every turn. Interesting. We definitely should keep that in mind. For now, though, I'm still trying to win the regular way with combat damage. So we're playing the Shieldmate. This forces them into a really bad position where they have to lose a creature and I get a 1/1 just to get their Elixir going. But it's definitely worth it for them. I have redrawn the Shieldmate from my sword. I guess they don't draw the card till their end step, so at least they don't get to play it if it's a creature or sorcery. They have to wait another turn for that. Three mana for a Glittering Frost. Sculptor of Winter looking really good now. And a Path to the World Tree with a Glittering Frost down that is pretty likely to happen, which is very bad for us. This card's pretty absurd. You do have to put some work into it, but it's a really powerful effect. Gain 2 life, draw 2 cards. I lose 2 life, they do 2 damage to one of my creatures, and create a 2/2 of their own, so it's just an immense amount of value. Oh my god, this is bad. Our opponent just with the real bangers. Avalanche Caller, Cosmos Elixir, Path to the World Tree, and Bears of Littjara. I would say at least these 3 cards can all single-handedly win a game. So we are not having a good time now. Bears of Littjara spits out a shapeshifter, then it turns all their shapeshifters into 4/4s, and then they get to use it as a removal spell, have all their power 4 creatures kill something. I've got 5 mana. I could play a 3-drop and a 2-drop. I can play Shieldmate and I can Bound in Gold. on something. I guess I can Bound and Gold the Shapeshifter, because it's going to be a 4/4. Sure, they do still get to deal the damage with the third part of the saga, but that shuts off the 4/4 blocker at least. They have to lose their Avalanche Collar, and Elixir gets shut off here. Or lose it or Elixir gets shut off. Or if I attack with both, definitely Elixir gets shut off. But then they just don't lose the Collar. I'll attack with both. I mean, this has Vigilance, so... If they want to trade with my Faithful, I'm happy to do that. Alright. They do not. With a second Bound and Gold, I feel pretty safe to Bound and Gold that Shapeshifter. This is also a triggered ability. It triggers at the beginning of their... or after their draw step? Whatever. I don't know exactly how it's worded. So it triggers after their draw step. So that's how you know it's a triggered ability. If it triggers at a set time kind of thing, like when this enters the battlefield or when this dies at the beginning of your turn, after your draw step, stuff like that. Activated abilities require the player choosing to use that at whatever time, either by tapping it, as you can see by the semicolon, or spending 2 mana, as you can see by the semicolon. So Infernal Pets, and I can cast Valkyrie, so I can double spell immediately and get a counter on it, but then I'm not really attacking it on this field. Kind of like throwing the sword on the shield mate. Sending in, then I'm not double spelling this turn though. I could shut off Avalanche Color as a blocker and shut off its ability, but I still don't think they're using its ability anytime soon. Kind of like just setting up the pet, but not getting the counter right now. Throwing the sword on the shield bait so I can attack in with that. Trade, get a 1/1, throw this back in my hand. Probably should have done this pre-combat, because maybe I'd even want to just recast it immediately. Or I probably should have cast Infernal Pet post-combat is what I mean to say. Am I attacking with Code Spell Cleric and offering that trade? I don't think so. Okay, looks like we are trading with the 2/1. And they're 2/2. Alright, so they kill the pet with the bears thing. I guess I kind of totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was a bit of a miss on my end. It probably would have been better to just equip the shield mate and just send that in, because then they're just killing like my 2/2 vigilance here. And I can just hold off on the pet. They're down to 18 cards in their deck and I have 24. Could just be trying to survive and mill them. It'd be hard to survive with the cards like Path to the World Tree giving them a lot of value. A second Path to the World Tree here too. And now Avalanche Collar is actually going to start trying to get in. Sure, I'll take 4. I guess I have to Bound and Gold Avalanche Collar to stop its ability from just killing me with 4/4s. Unfortunately. And an Icehide Troll. Okay. I don't really foresee a game where I end up cracking through their board at this point. So I think I start playing defensively and just trying to get them to mill out, but even then, it's going to take 9 turns, drawing 2 cards a turn. Deathnell Berserker with Sword of the Realms is going to be really good towards that plan, though. Like, just really good defensively. So I like setting that up. The only big problem with this is I don't get to immediately Bound and Gold by doing this. Maybe I'm supposed to just bound and gold immediately. Do they have a 2-mana spell to kill this before I equip? Oh my god, that's disgusting. Well, that was really good for our opponent. The Sculptor of Winter to untap the double mana of any color to squash. Squash only works because they have the Changeling given to them by Bears of Lajara. Opponent's kind of living the dream now. There's not a lot I can do at this point. Elixir has really gone off. Not even just the Elixir, they've had plenty of other big bomby cards going off now. Avalanche Color plus the Path to the World Trees. Bears of Lajara didn't really go off, but it made me use a removal spell and it killed one of my cards. So even that was giving them tons of value. I guess it's more lots of really good value out of cards like Path to the World Tree, Bears of Lajara. Yeah, they have King Narfi's Betrayal too. This deck is loaded. That's why these snow decks are so potentially sick, is you can just throw everything in there. With access to cards like Glittering Frost for whatever mana you need and all the snow duels that you can pick up. Just make some chumps here. I guess I double block Sculptor of Winter to try to kill it. What is this attack? This is kind of weird. I guess they just know I have nothing? Or they have some kind of pump? I was going to say, I wouldn't really expect this kind of deck to be running Mammoth Growth, but I guess they could. Gold Vein Pick is my draw. I have 5 mana available, so I can play a Shieldmate and equip it, but then I do nothing else. I can bound and gold their creature and play a Shieldmate, but then I don't get to equip the Shieldmate. I really kind of need to be equipping the Shieldmate so that I have like infinite blockers. Do I even want to bound and gold and play Stalwart Valkyrie instead? Just because of the fact that I just don't want to block here anyway. I don't want to block with Shieldmate because I want to be able to keep getting 1/1 chump blockers out of it every time I chump block. That feels kind of weird. I think I bound and gold Avalanche Color to stop them from just sending a million 4/4s at me, and then I just cast a Stalwart Valkyrie. Have a 3/2 here. I don't have anything to bring things back from my grave, I'm pretty sure, so it doesn't really matter what I exile. Replicating Ring. They've already got plenty mana at this point. Still a card. They've got 6 turns left. They got 12 cards left in their deck. Pretty sure they can close it out, but we'll see. We'll do what we can. Another Glittering Frost. Send him with the Troll and the 2/2. I am taking 6 from the Troll, so I take 8 total if I don't trade here. I'm actually going to trade because I'm not trying to crack back with Valkyrie or anything. I'm just going to take the trade to lower the amount of creatures, and then I'm just trying to chump block their 1 creature every turn with Beskir Shieldmate. And I get a 1/1 every time I do that, so hopefully that'll be good enough. We're kind of all in on them not having another good Bomby card, which is not likely in a snow deck. In a snow deck, because they can just draft whatever bombs they see coming their way, I'd expect they have something else scary coming up. But even just any creature would be scary for me here. If they have a counterspell for Shieldmate, we're just out of the game. Eyesight Troll kills us immediately. If they have removal for it, we can still chump block once. Yeah, this is a bad time. still only have the 2 white, so I can't throw the sword onto this. Wouldn't matter anyway, because it's not going to bring it back to my hand. So just be able to block with 3 power and make them give it indestructible, but they're going to do that anyway. I guess if I block here, they won't. But if I don't block, they have to spend all the mana to kill me. Yeah, actually giving +2 power to this would have been relevant. Force them to lock up some mana if they want to attack. But I suppose at that point they could just not attack and just play a Lindworm and you just win off that regardless. Judge of Valor can gain some life on the block, so I'm not quite dead. I'm at 2 life if they can't deal with this. Block the Troll with this, take 6 from the Lindworm, but I gain 2 from the Judge. So I'll be at 2 if they can't kill it. And they can kill it. Well. Yeah, I mean, this is just the 5-color snow monstrosity here. Triple path to the World Tree. Good lord. Really got manhandled there. Well. Well. This means we're heading into a round 9. Game 9. The absolute final boss. Win or lose. We will see what happens here. To cap off this return draft to the Kaldheim Premier Drafts. Final game, let's go. Alright, this white cards in this hand just are not that impressive, especially if I don't have double white, so this is actually going to be a mulligan for me, even though opponent's going first, so we could draw into a plains. This is definitely better. I think I get rid of Scorn Effigy. I guess Scorn Effigy helps with Infernal Pet, but it's kind of just the least exciting creature here. Maybe get rid of Faithful instead. Really depends on the matchup, I think. I'm going to get rid of the Effigy. I suppose Effigy, we know we can foretell it no matter what we end up drawing here, but with Gold Vein pick and 2 lands already, I just need to draw 1 more land or be able to pick my opponent once to be able to cast my 3 drops. I guess picking them once only lets me cast 1 3-drop because I do have to sacrifice the treasure, but we'll see. Might get punished. Might get punished for not holding on to the Foretell card. We don't really get punished until I don't have something that I'd want to do, because here, if I still had the 2/3 with Foretell, I would still just want to play Golden Pick here. Or Gold Vein Pick. Regardless. So until we hit a turn where we would rather foretell that card than do anything else, we haven't really gotten punished. We've just gotten generally unlucky in the traditional sense. Alright, yeah, so now we hit the 3rd land, and now we just play a 3/1. Because if I suit this up with the pick, it'll be a 4-power creature to be able to attack into their spirit. I suppose a 4 toughness creature is a pretty big blocker, so we could bind and gold it. It's only going to be a 1/4 though, because they're going to play their first snow permanent next turn. I could play Infernal Pet here and then try to cast Battlefield Raptor and something else, but everything in my hand costs at least 3 outside of Battlefield Raptor, so I'd have to draw a 2-mana card to do that. I kind of like Coma's Faithful, because Coma's Faithful with +1/+1 on it is big enough to like trade into the spirit. I could also play Battlefield Raptor so I know I'm getting the pick off. Actually, sure. See if they want to block here. Highly doubt it. Or I highly doubt that they don't block. And then I'll just throw the pick onto the Raptor. Because being able to get this Judge of Valor out before I cast anything else, like, if this doesn't die immediately, like we've seen in like our first or second game, just how brutally powerful this effect is if we can draw the extra cards off of it. So being able to know we're getting a treasure this turn, so if we hit a land, we can cast this, and if not, at least we have 4 mana there, is nice. And with the second Spirit of the Elder Guard, we're pretty rewarded for that, because we're just never getting through these creatures on the ground. So it's definitely good to have the flyer here. And we do have the 5 mana for the Judge, so we're going to do that. Our opponent does have this Slumber Mound that's going to be really annoying. Being able to destroy one of our lands this game is actually really brutal for us. They do need another red mana to do that, but they just picked up a Snow Mountain, which will do that. 2, 3, 4, 5. They need 1 more land total after this, so they're not quite there yet still. 2 turns away from getting Slumber Mounded. And it is relevant to say they also get a 4/4 out of it, so it's not just them blowing up one of our lands that'll hurt. 6 mana available. Now they play Toski, Bearer of Secrets. So if either of those creatures hit us, they draw a card. If they have a Frostbite, this hurts, but I think it hurts just as bad to just take 6 and let them draw 2. Yeah, this is just not a good time. Do I even chump block to stop them from drawing anything? Because this also helps them draw into a Frostbite if they don't have one yet. I don't think so. I don't think I block there. I guess Shieldmate never gets in against a 1/1 indestructible, but this has to attack each turn of Fable. So Shieldmate might actually do something later. It is unlikely, though. I guess I could double block 1. That's probably better than stopping them from drawing a card. Now if they have a Frostbite, they have to decide if they want to kill my Judge of Valor or if they want to save their Spirit. If they have a Frostbite, I think I just lose here. But I don't think I can afford to not block and then they just draw 2 cards there, and now they're going to draw 2 cards every other turn. So that was bad for us, but I don't think there's much we can do about that. I don't think it would be worth not blocking on the chance that they would have it. Do I want to Coma's Faithful or do I want to Bound in Gold here? I'm definitely casting another spell to get the +1/+1 counter. I guess Faithful plus a 1/1 trade-off with the Spirit. And Bound in Gold on Toski doesn't even really matter because it's only a 1/1. And its ability still works. Again, it's a triggered ability. It triggers whenever they deal combat damage to us. Just going to spread out more creatures here so I can crack back at our opponent and also have more ways to double block and kill Spirit. Now, even if they kill Infernal Pet, we can double block and kill the Spirit of the Elder Guard. Obviously, if they don't kill Infernal Pet, we have a much better double blocking with a 3/3 and a 1/1. They only kill the 1/1, unless they're also doing a 2-for-1 to kill it. Struggle for Skemfar is not great for us, because now it's even bigger for the future, and if we want to stop them from drawing a card, we have to lose one of these. This is kind of worst case scenario. At least they don't get to attack with the Spirit of the Elder Guard this turn, because then it just trades for Coma's Faithful. I don't think this 1/1 is doing much. Because now it's 5 toughness. Good God. I think generally a 1/1 token is probably worth, like, sacrifice a 1/1 token, make our opponent essentially discard 1 card by forcing them to not draw that. Hold them off 1 draw there. We are really trying to get there with flyers. I think I sent in with Raptor and then just play Valkyrie and equip onto that. I don't think I'm binding in gold still. Just trying to get in for lethal flying damage. We get to hit them for 5 a turn flying after this. They're down to 12. Could maybe get there. I think I want to hold on to Bound in Gold to shut off a flying blocker now. Do I even move the pick onto the Faithful so I have 2 different things that can block Toski? So even if they kill something, I get to block that and stop 1 card draw? Because I'm not going to double block to kill the Spirit of the Elder Guard here. I need to keep my flyer on the board. Yeah, one more toughness for the flyer doesn't even really save it for anything, because Frostbite's doing 3 damage. They have 3 snow permanents. Demon Bolt's doing 4 damage. Yeah, throwing the pick onto the Valkyrie doesn't actually get it out of range of much. So I'm going to throw it onto the Faithful. That way, even if they kill one of my creatures, the other one still has 2 toughness and is able to block Tusky. And now I'm also gaining 1 more life. I don't know if that'll be relevant. Depends if they draw into answers for our flyers or not. If they don't draw into answers for our flyers... Oh no. Oh, that's actually... Oh, that's so disgusting. God, yeah, just like a +1/+1 fight spell was like also the best possible removal they could have had. Because it's not costing them a creature, so it's just the same as if it just said destroy target creature, but it's also buffing Tusky's power to enough to where I can't block and stop them from drawing a card. This is a really, really powerful lineup of draws for our opponent. Is that a 3rd Spirit of the Alder Guard? What is going on? Oh my god. I guess if you just get to like 6 and 1, then you just get paired up against snow drafters that had no competition at the pod whatsoever. I am partially responsible for decks like this showing up because I rarely draft them. But Triple Spirit, really brutal. I'm at 17. We just have to let them draw a million cards a turn at this point, I'm pretty sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, they're actually dead in 2 turns. They have to get a way to deal with these flyers, but they get to really loot for it. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm not dead on the crackback, so we're just going for it. 2 swings, we'd have lethal. I'm not going to bind in gold again, because one of the ways they could survive is getting a reach or flying creature. So bound in gold shuts off that route to victory. If they just draw removal, we can't win. Because we take 8 here, go to 9. I guess we do hit them for 5, put them to 1, and then we take 8 again. And oh no, Ravenous Lindworm brings them out of range. Now they're at 10 against 6 power. Alright, they are really trying to outrace us here then. So they're dead in 2 swings of 5 damage, so do I actually just hold off with Battlefield Raptor? With double bound in gold, do I just shut off their biggest attackers now? I don't think I chump block then if I have double bound in gold. If I have double bound in gold, I shut off the 6/6 and the 5/5. I take 5 here. If they have a pump spell, I'm going to die. But now they need double removal spells or double reach blockers. Because either one of these... I guess that puts them to 4, so only the Valkyrie would get in for lethal. So because I have to keep Valkyrie around to win next turn either way, and I have to win next turn or I die, I think I move my equipment to Valkyrie, hold Battlefield Raptor as a chump blocker, and just throw bound in gold at the 6/6 and the 5/5 like we play super defensively. I guess I do have like the Kaya's Onslaughts, but that involves me having to draw a specific card to get lethal next turn. Whereas here it's just like 2 swings of Valkyrie and it's done. And we don't have to block with Raptor if they don't present lethal. Like, I'm not just going to chump block here to play around a pump spell. Because then main phase 2, they could use like a removal spell and super hose me. Then I wouldn't win by a top decked Kaya's Onslaught. So this just leaves the option open to chump block with Battlefield Raptor. I suppose I could have moved the picks over, but it doesn't really matter. I guess, yeah, no, I should have stacked these tokens to move the picks over so that Battlefield Raptor could survive against, like a Frostbite. But that'd be like only for the defensive. So I take 5 here. I'm not going to play around a pump spell. If they have a pump spell, they win. Whatever. Because I would rather play around a removal spell. If they have a removal spell to kill Valkyrie, now at least I get to move the equipment over to Raptor, which means I still have lethal if I draw Kaya's Onslaught. And now I don't. I'd have 6 damage. They drew another Lindworm. So I have to draw Kaya's Onslaught. Redain God of the Worthy. Is there any way to survive by doing that? If I cast this, to prevent 1 damage from everything, I can... No. I wouldn't be able to survive and attack here. If I cast this as a creature, I can block there, block there. They have to just not have removal. I think they just have to not have removal somehow after drawing a million cards. They've got 9 cards left from their deck, and I need them to not have removal. So if I play it the defensive way of playing the Protector Shield, I think the Protector Shield is just worse than a blocker at this point. It reduces the damage of all their creatures by 1, but then they still have a 3-4, an 0-1, and a 5-6. I guess a 3-4 and a 5-6 means I should block those 2. But then I don't have Fantastic Block still, though. I guess I blocked the 3-4, take that, or chump that. Alright. I don't think we're gonna get there. We need them to not have removal whatsoever so that I can chump block those 2 and take 1. Saw it coming. That works. I am super dead on board. Well, this game actually ended closer than I thought it would. Our opponent's deck is ridiculous, and it really went off here. Tusky really was the big winner here. I had the Demon Bolts anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered anything. Still had all these. Unfortunate ending here. We're going to be 6-3 against a real brutal deck. I guess that wasn't really the 5-color snow, but the triple Spirit of the Alder Guard was still pretty terrifying. And it wasn't even anywhere near as big as it tends to get in a lot of the games. It was a lot of work from Toski. There's just no way to deal with Toski being indestructible and giving you value even if you shut off that 1-1 indestructible Lottie. I still think we were in the right to not Bound and Gold Toski, because they still draw the cards anyway, like whatever. I stopped the 1-1 and then they're drawing cards off the other stuff. I think our Bound and Golds were better where they got put in the end. But that is a thing that you can always look back on in hindsight and see for sure. I'm not certain there. So that will end today's Premier Draft of Kaldheim. A nice 6-3 run. We ended with more gyms and packs than we started with. Always a great time. And yeah, that'll end today's draft. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more limited Magic Arena content, or just Magic Arena content in general, sometimes I'll be doing some Constructed. I will definitely be doing Momir for this Friday Night Magic. I'm very excited about that. Stick around on the channel. These videos are uploaded daily, and I do stream occasionally at the Twitch channel in the description below. So, as always, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.